Welcome to Pathways to Peace, creating peace inside and around us with emotional intelligence, or EQ. With your host, Matt Perelstein. In every episode, we explore the art, science, and magic of EQ for peace, power, and purpose in life. You can find this show at www.EQ4Peace.org and on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Now here's the host of Pathways to Peace, Matt Perelstein.
Hello. Welcome back again. Nice to see you again, or nice to, I can't see you, but maybe you can see me or you can hear me. Nice to be here. Thank you for listening in. We are trying to change the world. We are trying to save the world, maybe, but we are trying to change the world. We believe that we can get to peace, and both inside and outside. And so today I'd like to show you how I think that could happen, A, and B, what we've been doing and what we as a nonprofit have been doing to try to make that happen, and C, try and figure out how you might be able to get involved if you're interested, because it's a huge movement worldwide and we've got a lot of work to do, but it can happen. So let's go ahead. I've got a PowerPoint and I will try to talk through the slides for those of you who can't see it. It's pretty profound. So I'll talk about what it says on each of the slides as we go. So let's, this is introduction, just saying that we're going to be talking about how to create peace inside and around us in the whole world, So the goals for this session, I'd like to show you what the current problems are. There are some problems you may have noticed. There are some problems. Discuss how they may have started and how they're being perpetuated. Offer a proposed solution, what we are doing to try and make that happen. Share how EQ4Peace is creating solutions, and it's working. Describe how you can help, and talk about what we might be doing next, or what we're going to be working on next week. Okay, so the current state is that we are having social and emotional problems everywhere. It's bad, and it's actually getting worse. With COVIDs and with the environment and with the war and stuff happening, it's actually bad and getting worse. And so we got work to do. We have big social problems. Violence is going up, abuse is going up, addictions are going up, suicides are going up. That's the worst one of all of them. It's just incredible how bad it is in the United States and in other countries as well. It's bad, and that is directly related to people not knowing how to deal with their emotions. So it's solvable, it's avoidable stuff. So all of this stuff is, in my opinion, there are ways that we can make a difference by teaching emotional intelligence. Divorce is going up. Mental health issues, as you know, are rampant right now. They've connected emotional problems with physical health issues that are also a problem. Crime's going up, and war. Wow. So the problem is that we are actually born with high EQ. We're born pretty calm, pretty peaceful, pretty loving. We're okay when we're born, mostly, and it's downhill from there. We are born with only a few fears and no anger, and we end up as an adults with all kinds of fears and all kinds of things we're upset about and all kinds of things that we've been hurt about, etc. And so it builds up over time. And so we're born great. We have a couple grandkids, 1 and 3 years old, and you watch them, and they, from day one, from the first minute, they were good. They're okay. When they have a problem, then they express it. When we deal with the expression, when the problem is handled, then they go back to being in their natural state, which is pretty cool. But that doesn't last. Things stick around, and things don't go well. So it's downhill from there. Emotions are not taught. They're not even talked about. We don't learn them at school. We don't talk about them at home, and we better not deal with them at work, right? So emotions are not taught anywhere, really. the lack of emotional education, according to my co-founder at EQ4Peace, Dr. Dean Van Leuven, he wrote 14 books on peace, and he said he believes it was the number one biggest problem in our world today. It may be, it's right up there, certainly, but the lack of emotional education is a big problem. We're showing now the left brain, which has a logic to it, has a bump. It's our analytical side. It's our reasoning, where science is. It's all in our left brain, and that is what we focus on in schools. Our right brain, however, is our creativity, our passion, our feelings, our senses. All that stuff is on our right brain, and that we don't focus on in school, and we're not taught about that stuff yet. It's happening. It's starting to happen, but it's not going well. And as you probably know from when you guys were kids, when there's subjects like music and band and art and stuff like that, those are the first ones to go. They're super important, but they're less important in academia because we're working on standardized testing, which is based on logic and passing tests so that we can get a job, which is cool. That's good. That's a good thing. We just need to add emotional education to that as well. It's just wrong that kids are not taught how to deal with their own inner world. I was pretty unhappy with my education in that regard. I went all the way through college and I was like, what the heck? That's it? So anyway, that's one of the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing and sitting here in front of you making a big deal and jumping up and down about this, is because I was very unhappy with my education. I would like to do something about it, and I don't like it that other people and like our grandkids are not going to get much of that in school. It's important that it is. So the good news is that it is an education problem. We are born with everything we need. We just don't know how to use it. That's really good news. It's not like we're broken. It's not like we need to make any foundational shifts inside of us. We need education. We need to be able to understand how this stuff works. More good news. We are in charge of our own world, our own inner world. We're not necessarily in charge of our outer world, but we are definitely in charge of our inner world. That is the best news I've ever gotten. That might be the best news we ever heard. We have thoughts. We have feelings, we make decisions on those, we take action on those, and all of that stuff is up to us. It's ours. We can run it. We're running the show inside of us. Our thoughts, our feelings, all that stuff are ours, and we can change them. If we don't like them or they're not working for us, we can change them. Attitudes, moods, anxieties, stress, tension, life, all that stuff are 100% ours. And so we can do something with them, and that's cool. If we know how. That's why it's an education problem. We can think better thoughts. We can believe better beliefs. We can feel better feelings. We can make better decisions. We can take better actions. We can get better results, and we can live a better life and create peace inside and around us with emotional education. It's kind of magical, actually. It's kind of magical. There's a science to it, how it works. There's an art to it, which is how to work it, which is what I'm interested in. What do I do with that, with the science? And you put those together, and it's kind of magical. It's pretty cool. So the cool part is that the concepts and the language, there's a whole language to it, and managing our inner self are teachable skills. These are teachable skills. Resilience, perseverance, empathy, compassion, even love is a teachable skill. Isn't that cool? You can learn better how to do it better, how to do more and better by learning more about it. That's wonderful news. So that's why I'm saying it's an education problem. These are teachable skills. EQ, learning emotional intelligence, can lead us to peace inside of us and around us. That's pretty cool. And so that means that peace is possible. And it starts with you and me. It starts with us. It starts inside. And we grow it outside. I've got a really cool quote about that. I forgot to add it in here, but the Dalai Lama said that global peace is possible starting with inside of us, and then it expands outward. That's what we're doing with this, right? So here's a really cool graphic. I hope you can see it if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube. It talks about how it starts with us, then we go to, it starts with me, goes to me and you. So it's inner peace, me, interpersonal peace between me and you, between me and others is interpersonal peace, me and society, me and my country, me and the world. It grows from there. So it starts with me and it can grow to all throughout the world. Inner peace leads to interpersonal peace, leads to social peace. Those are all teachable skills. And maybe someday, if enough of us know how to create peace inside and around us, then we can have big peace, big global peace. Maybe. It starts with me, myself, and I. It goes to home, family, school. Home, our family and our friends and people that are closest to us. It then expands out to schools, clubs, teachers, students, groups, teams, all of that at school. We can then go to at work. It affects leadership, bosses, management, customers, clients, competitors, suppliers, everybody. Emotions affect all of us 24/7, 365. It's relevant and it matters, and we get to change it. That's very cool, right? And then as we grow, we can get out to big society, into communities and governments and politics and economics, and deal with our allies better and deal with our enemies better, and the whole works. If we start, but it all starts with us and it grows from there. It's pretty neat, huh? So the solution is emotional education. We do the best we can with what we know. The more we know, the better our best can be, right? So we are going to be teaching emotions. Our vision is a world at peace with all its citizens practicing EQ at home, school, work, and society levels. A world at peace. The big solution is education. We can bring emotional education to homes and school and works everywhere. Aristotle said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. That's a bit severe, but you get the idea. We need to do both sides of our brain. Sorry, I'm coughing. I just got over COVID's last week, and so I tested negative again yesterday, and I'm good, but some of it's lingering. But anyway, it wasn't as bad as it certainly could have been. So there's a science to EQ, right? The way our synapses work, the way our brain processes information and our emotions, how our amygdala works, how our prefrontal cortex works, all that good stuff. That's all real. That's all important. That's the science. Emotions are a very real thing in our body. So we need to be able to deal with them. There's also an art to it. All right. What do I do with that? How do I change my synapses? Right. What do I do when my amygdala hijacks me? Right. Those kind of things. What do I do? How do I handle this? What do I say? What works? What doesn't work? That kind of thing. So there's an art to it. And if we put those two together, the science and the art, it becomes kind of magical. And that's pretty cool. I like that. We are we're developing emotional intelligence. Oh, so this is us. So that's the big solution, is emotional education worldwide, homeschool and work and society. What we are doing, we being EQ4Peace.org, EQ4Peace, what we are doing is a bunch of things. So we are developing emotional intelligence. We are developing also what's called positive mental health. This is a new concept, positive mental health. You might have heard of positive psychology, very famous right now, or it's growing like crazy. So is EQ, but positive psychology said we historically with therapy and counseling and stuff, the purpose of mental health and with psychology was to help you deal with the negatives, with your problems, issues, disorders, etc., that are negative, and to get back up to normal. The goal of therapy was to get you back to normal. And but Dr. Seligman from University of Pennsylvania said, wait a minute, why do we have to stop there? If we study what is working for people, what's working, happier people, healthier, more financially secure, better connecting with people, family, love, friends, that kind of thing. The people that are kicking butt in their lives, why can't we keep going? And so positive psychology said, let's deal with the negatives and learn how to deal with and to create positives. Well, positive mental health, same thing. Mental health kind of has a negative connotation to it. We're supposed to get back up to normal. And I'm saying, no, we do not need to do that. We can keep going. We can keep going. We do need to do that. Sorry. We do need to do that. We do need to be able to deal with our negatives. We do. We really do. Because they're real and they're going to happen and we got to deal with them. And we don't have to stop there. We can keep going. We can become awesome. We can become resilient. We can become happy. We can become compassionate and empathetic and powerful and get our needs met and have great relationships and all that good stuff with positive mental health. Starting with emotional intelligence, which starts with you, you studying you, checking out what works for you. All right. Again, your thoughts, feelings, decisions, actions, attitudes, moods, all that stuff are ours. They're yours. And so you can do something with them. So what we need to do is we need to learn how to deal with and express our negatives and to get back to our natural state, which is positive. So Doc Downing is my main mentor, and he has a great way of putting things. He in the real short quotes that are really powerful and life-changing. They have been for me, and we've been teaching them for 30-something years now. And one of my favorites is negative emotions expressed as intensely as they are felt in our body will reduce in intensity and are free to change, which I sum up as feel it to heal it, feel it to heal it, which means that if we are feeling something really negative, if we let our body feel that and just for a minute, we're really scared, we're really angry, we're really sad, that kind of thing. If you're sad, let yourself cry and you'll feel so much better, right? So much better. This is not rocket science. It's fairly simple. These are teachable skills, like I said, and we can make this stuff happen. So we can be better. We can do better with positive mental health. This quote says, to be the best, you must be able to handle the worst. And I modified it a little bit to say, to be your best, you must be able to handle your worst, which means if you can deal with your negatives, you can create more positives. We're born pretty peaceful and happy and loving and calm. If you're not feeling those things, we need to get rid of the negative to get you back to your natural state, which is pretty darn positive, which is pretty cool. So EQ is the tools and the concepts and the language. Positive mental health is the strategies. Okay, what do I do with that? In this situation, what do I do? In this situation, what do I not do? That kind of thing. So they're the strategies that are involved there. And the goal is peace. The goal is peace. So what we're doing, we've been teaching these original concepts. We have a whole bunch of original quotes. We have a whole bunch of classes, conferences, workshops, all kinds of stuff that we put together over the years on how to do this. How do you handle your emotions? Most people have no idea. They have no idea that they have thoughts and they have feelings and that they're different and that we need to handle them both and they're handled separately and that our thoughts usually create our feelings and all that kind of stuff that what our inner world, most people don't know how to handle that stuff. And so we need to show them. We need to explain it. Most people, I ask people all the time, have you ever heard of emotional intelligence? And about half the people in my unscientific study say, huh? No, what? And I go, well, what do you think that means? Or if they have heard of it, I go, well, what do you think? Have you heard good things about it? Kind of thing. And they, people go, yeah, that's such an important part of life. It's so important that it's missing. Like, yeah, no kidding, huh? So most people don't know anything about emotional intelligence, don't even know it exists. They're not looking for it. They don't know it's a problem. And they certainly don't know it's the solution. So we have to go, hey, you guys, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And so that's what we're trying to do with our teachings. We have tons of resources now, the concepts, trainings. We have curriculum that we could teach in schools and has been taught in many schools something like 60 or 80 of them we're at now, that have taught whole semester on emotional intelligence, or in a lot of schools it's called social emotional learning in academia, social emotional learning. So we've got some of that. We've got assessments. We just wrote a paper. We're just started another one, a scientific paper to study what's happening and to show if it comes out that way, to show that the emotional education works. Kids they actually make improvements over time, and they stay over time. So that's pretty cool. We even have docs came up with a new type of therapy called cognitive affective behavioral therapy, right? CBT is one of the most popular forms of therapy. It's mostly education, and it talks about cognitive, which is the left brain, behavioral, which is your body and what you do, right? So cognitive behavioral. Well, they're missing a real important point. Cognitive affective, which is your right brain, which is your emotion. So cognitive affective behavioral therapy. Anyway, we're just started a Wikipedia article on that. We're going to do a paper on it, etc. So it's pretty cool. So we've got a whole bunch of resources. We've got thousands of memes. You know how Facebook and LinkedIn and such are based a lot on the memes. Some of them can be totally life-changing. Some of them are baloney. Some of them are like, yeah, right, or corny or whatever. Some of them you go, wow, I never thought of that before. They're just little bitty lessons, and they can be huge. And we've got like 5,000 of them. And we got to get them organized. It's one of the things I could use some help with. We get them organized into ways that you can go, okay, let's talk about anger. Give me all the ones on anger, or give me all the ones on resilience, or that kind of thing. So we got work to do, but we got a great start on lots and lots of resources, books, trainings, etc. on emotional education. So in emotional education, I didn't put it on here, but Dr. Bill Overton, he's a EDD, which means he's a doctor of education. He's come up with these amazingly simple, clear ways of adding emotional intelligence into education. So let me tell you, there's 3 different ways: proactive, embedded, and responsive. Let me go through them real quick. They're pretty cool. Okay, so you go to school all day long, right? And the teacher's busy, and she or he is doing her thing, right? Okay, so how do we get emotional education in there? They're already booked up, and they're already full, and they're kind of overwhelmed. So how do we get them in there? 3 ways. One is with pure lecture kind of discussion telling, where you're telling it's the IQ of your EQ, I call it. It's our logic and our reasoning and our knowledge about our emotions. It's what are they called? How do they work? How does your amygdala work? How does your prefrontal cortex work? It's lecture. It's kind of it's a way of telling, right? It's teaching. It's the traditional teaching of information, right? Example, what's resilience? Explain resilience. And another example is, okay, you guys get out your book on SEL. We're going to do SEL now, or we're going to do EQ now. So it's the normal kind of teaching that we're used to. Okay, that's one way. And we have good stuff on that. And there's a lot to it. Actually. And so that's important. Second way is called embedded. He calls it embedded, where you tie together your left brain and your right brain, right? And you integrate the emotional subjects or concepts into your subjects. He says that, and I agree, that emotions never stop. They're in every subject all day long. They can't not be emotional, even like math, right? That kind of thing. You can you kind of integrate it in when you're talking about history. How could they have done that? What do you think they were feeling? What do you think their goals were? What do you think they did as a society, kind of thing, where you can start looking at the inside and bring it into their regular training, but to go, what do you think? What do you feel about this? What do you think they felt, right? That kind of thing. And you can integrate emotions into your regular subject matter. It's a little bit tricky, but it's really powerful too. And the kids are like, oh, I see. Now it makes the subject matter real, makes it more real for kids and people. And it's a great way of doing it. So one of the examples was, how do you think Red Riding Hood was being resilient? Right. The first one was teaching resilience. This was, well, how do you think she was being resilient? All right. So you explore. It's more asking. It's more, so, and then the third one, whoop, I skipped it. Where's the third one? Embedded, proactive. Oh no. Where's my third one? I messed up my PowerPoint. Now I got it myself all confused. Responsive. Here it is. Responsive. And what that means is what's going on. What is going on in real life, and how do you get this into real life? For example, instead of get out your SEL book, he says he taught this for years and years and years, and was like known worldwide for how people used to come and study his classrooms and his recess, which was wild. He said people came from Japan to come and check out their recess. The recess and lunchtime are some of the most emotional parts of a day for kids. And so you go, well, so how was recess for you? Right? How were you being resilient? How, did you fit in? Did you see other kids that didn't fit in? Do you think you could do something about that? Right? And you're responding to the current situation and into real life, and you're bringing it in, and you're letting the kids think about it. It's more of a bringing out rather than telling. It's asking more than telling. And you get ready because it might be interesting. He tells a story of a little girl that wanted to go last, and he's like, okay, I'll share last. And she waited. And at the very end, he said, okay, it's your turn now. You want to go? And she said, yeah. My parents decided to get a divorce last night. And it's like, whoa, right? Stuff like that, where the kids will bring stuff out, and they need to be able to talk about stuff, and you might need to escalate it from there, but still it allows them to feel what they need to make it real for them. And it validates it with the other kids, and it can be, as long as it's safe. And that's an important part of this whole thing: safety. So it's just cool. So we found those three different ways: responsive, proactive, and embedded ways of getting it into education. And we're working on those, and he's got great write-ups on those, and it's working. One of the coolest ways is is what we call clubs. We're making clubs in schools all over. And what they do is, instead of the teacher having to cram it into his regular curriculum, which is already full and packed, is to having before, during, or after clubs for kids. And we can make it fun, and we can make it really engaging for kids, and make it so that the way it works is you go, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a game. We can make it really fun. We can play a game, because it doesn't matter how you learn emotions. It matters that you learn emotions. So so we're going to play a game, and then we're going to talk about it afterwards. So here we go. Ready? And we go play a game, and then you come back and what he calls debrief, or refer back to it and go, so what did you learn from that? How did that go for you? What could you have done different? What could you have done better? Did you fit in? Did you work well with others, or did you not? That kind of stuff. And you can make it fun and let them explore what's going on inside of them. So the peace clubs, EQ4Peace clubs, is a really fun way and unique way, and very, very, very inexpensive way to bring emotional intelligence into schools. I think that's so great. So I'm kind of going fast here because I'm supposed to get done in a half an hour. Almost there. So we're doing a bunch of outreach. The UN, from the UN on down, we call it top-down strategy. The UN is the highest in education, as far as I know, because they're over all the peace world. We then, the next step down is countries and such, and we're working with some governments, like for example in Nepal. They have approved our curriculum in all public schools in Nepal, all of them. And so if we can hire and train a teacher to do this on the side, they do it on the side, and it doesn't cost very much, and give them a book and train them a little bit, and then bring it into the schools. And that's where we've done 60 schools just in Nepal. And so it's really cool, and we studied that and to see if it's working or not, and it is, and it's really neat. And so we can bring it into schools. I'm writing 2 different classes for 2 different universities right now that they're going to teach as curriculum on emotional intelligence and positive mental health, which is really exciting for me. So universities are the next level down because they're huge, and especially in Asia, they are, and in Europe, in Africa, they're just eating this up. They're eating it up. The universities know that they don't know. They know that this is needed. They know that that's an important part of our learning that's missing, and so they're digging it, which is really fun for me. So I've been big demand. I'm trying to teach people at university level, which is as a ripple effect, from top down ripple effect, is awesome because you're getting professors who are going to affect a lot of people. You're getting students, mostly grad students and college students, who are going to be the parents, are going to be, or our parents. They're going to be business leaders, all that kind of stuff. So the trickle down effect is great. So I'm really excited about that part of it. We've been very, very successful. I was going to show you some of my the flyers for the universities and colleges that I've been speaking with. Something like last week, I think I did 6 presentations in 8 days, and it's very fun. So groups, conferences, symposiums, we're doing whatever we can to share a lot. Like I said, most people don't know about emotional intelligence, so we're trying to introduce it. A lot of people now do know about emotional intelligence. So we're like, okay, so where do we start? A lot of people are going, okay, I understand. Like now, if you just heard this and you go, all right, that sounds like I need to learn about my emotions. What do I do? How do I start? Where do I go from here? So those are really, really important. We're trying to answer those questions as clearly as possible. We're bringing emotional education to schools everywhere. I've talked in USA, Canada, Mexico, India, Nepal, Bangladesh, UK, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, and Kenya. So far, that's in the last year so far. And we're growing. It's very fun. We're trying to create solutions for ongoing solutions. We need a safe place. We need safe places for people to deal with their emotions and to explore, to work together, to connect, to learn and grow together. Connection is such a huge part of this whole thing. And there's, again, teachable skills. We can learn how to do this better. And so we are trying to create a family environment online so that people can come in really super safe, strongly moderated, so that people can explore what's going on for them, help other people. One of the most wonderful things we can do for another person is to shut up and listen to them and let them feel, let them explore what's going on inside of them. Let them discover what's happening and the solutions. We don't have to tell them most of the time, here's the solution. They can figure out the solution, but they got to talk about it. They need to explore it. They need to find out what's going on inside of them. And they're like, oh, okay, all right. And that like I said, sometimes we need to express our feelings, in our big negative feelings. If we have somebody who's really safe, they're like, go ahead, right? We don't say, oh, you stop crying. Oh, grab a Kleenex. Oh, let's change the subject. Oh, let's stop doing that. I go, you know what? If you're crying, keep going. What else? While you're in there, while you're digging around in your heart, what else is bothering you? What else are you sad about? Get it all out of there. Get it all out of there. Your body does not want to or need to carry this crap around inside. It doesn't. You make it that way. Your judgments and your inability to and unwillingness to allow emotions messes you up. So let your body feel some stuff sometimes, would you please? So we're creating a family support site, and we need a database of all the stuff. There's tons of stuff. I run a whole bunch of emotional intelligence groups on Facebook and LinkedIn, and there's a whole bunch of stuff happening. So I get to see what's happening. The problem is that most of them, ads and self-promotion, are not allowed. They're not allowed. So I have to delete all of these wonderful things. But what I do is write them down first, or make a note of them first. And I could tell you there is a ton of stuff going on in the world on EQ, but nobody knows. Nobody knows. We need a database of all the different things going on because it's so great. So, and we can talk to each other, connect with each other, find out what's happening, and use it. And then we need a university, and we need a place where from preschool to PhD, all the way up, we need curriculum, assessments, understanding, teaching about how the embedded work, teaches how proactive works, that kind of thing, and teach teachers how to teach parents how to teach bosses how to be better bosses, that kind of thing. We can do all of that, and we need all of that. Our big goal is 1 billion people practicing EQ by 2039. That's comes from 6 seconds. 6 seconds is one of the biggest EQ trainers in the world, and their goal was 1 billion people practicing EQ by 2039. So we adopted that same thing. Let's do that. And then we enhanced it. We're like, no, we need to teach everybody by 2050, everybody. And we want global peace. We got to teach everybody. So the UN, we're trying to work with the UN. They have what they call sustainable development goals, SDGs. They have 17 of them. We hit 4 of them. They are good health and well-being, which is us, right? Good health, mental health and well-being. Number 4 is quality education, which is school, right? We said school. Next is work, decent work and economic growth. And that includes being good to our employees and stuff at work. So we have home, school, work. And if you add those up, we get number 16 is peace. And that's where we're going with this. So 3 + 4 + 8 = 16. Actually, there's one missing, and that's you. That's the magical component of this home. So of this thing is to make it work is we need you involved. It's a movement. We're going toward emotions. We're trying to make more and more. We found that emotions are much more important than we ever thought possible before we ever imagined. And we don't know how to use them. So I'm trying to convince you a little bit to bring out your emotions more, to learn more about them, to study yourself and each other. Your thoughts and feelings matter a lot to you. And guess what? Other people's matter to them. If we shut up and listen to them, we can become incredibly important to other people and by being a safe and accepting person to them. And that's all emotional intelligence. It's all about emotional intelligence. So I've got to stop. So get involved. If you want to get involved, we're at EQ4Peace.org. I'm Matt, MATT, at EQ4Peace.org. And we have a ton of stuff going on. We can help you learn more. We can help you share the information if you like, and we can help bring emotional intelligence to people everywhere in order to create peace. So peace out. Take care. See you next week. Next week, we're going to have our special guest is one of our top guys, which is Bob Ingram, who's been studying this stuff for years. He was a leadership trainer for the Army, U.S. Army for 45 years, and he's really good at it. And he can explain this stuff so well. So I've got some beautiful presentations of how we can go from us to huge. So join us next week as well. So thank you. Take care. Be cool. Deal with your emotions. Learn about them. Deal with your emotions. Thank you.
You've been listening to Pathways to Peace, creating peace inside and around us with emotional intelligence, EQ, with your host, Matt Perelstein. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, and sharing this show with others. You can catch prior episodes at www.EQ4Peace.org and on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more.